Hey everyone! I wanted to share with you what stationery products I use most often currently. This will be categorized in basically two sections: the products I use for functionality in my planner or journal, and then the products that I like to use for decorating. So let's go ahead and start with my planning materials. In case you are unfamiliar, the planner that I've been using this year has been this B6 Sterling Ink Common Planner with the vertical weeklies. The first item that I would say I use the most often would be this Uni-Ball One P gel pen. This is the 0.38mm size. If I could only use one writing utensil for the rest of my life, I have to say that it would probably be this pen right here. Mainly due to the super dark and pigmented black ink, it's also incredibly smooth and consistent. I don't experience any skipping or scratchiness with this pen. Also, I love the Uni-Ball One P body since they're shorter and thicker than the usual Uni-Ball One body. So as you can see here, traditionally then they do come in a white body, but I have a special edition one here in a black body, but it is the same size and everything. So it is the normal length of a Uni-Ball One gel pen, but as you can see, the P body is just shorter and thicker, which is supposed to be more comfortable to write with and reduce hand fatigue. And not to mention, it is very adorable to look at. This is what I use in my planner to write down basically everything. All of my to-dos, my tasks, events, you name it. This is my ride or die, and it's just incredibly reliable. Next is a Tombow Fudenosuke hard tip brush pen. I like to use this to add headers in my planner, specifically my to-do headers on my monthly and weekly spreads. The Tombow offers a nice variety of hand lettering that sticks out from the Uni-Ball One P without being too distracting. The different font helps to separate and differentiate sections on the spread. Next, let's move into my memory keeping planner, which is in my A6 Hobonichi HON. For my daily doodles, I'd like to draw one moment from each day. I do have a full separate video discussing that here in case you are curious and would like to check that out. But essentially, I always use the same three products. The first one being a mechanical pencil. This one here is a Tombow Monograph pencil with 0.5mm lead. Really any pencil will do, this just happens to be the most recent one that I've purchased. I use this to sketch out my doodle and to get a rough idea for all the shapes and proportions. The next item is a Sakura Pigma Micron fine liner. Over the years, I've experimented with a slightly larger size as well as an even smaller size, but I've been pretty happy with this 005 size, which is about 0.2mm. I prefer to use a pen with archival and water-resistant ink so it doesn't smear or smudge easily. These fine liners have been a long-time favorite of mine since they've always been very reliable and the ink will stand the test of time. They are also quite durable and will last an incredibly long time as long as you use a lighter hand. If you use too much pressure, it can damage the nib, especially for these very thin and small sizes. Once I've inked in my doodles and gave it a moment to dry, I'll take my kneaded eraser to gently erase the pencil marks. I don't have a particular brand of kneaded erasers that I prefer. I believe the one I had before was from Faber-Castell, and this current one is from Prismacolor. So I personally don't have a preference. They both work just fine, but I love kneaded erasers since they don't create any eraser dust and you can shape them into different sizes depending on what you're needing to erase. Moving on to a few supplies that I use for a specific time frame. So going back to my common planner here, the first one being this Tombow dual brush pen. This is in the 837 shade and it's just this very beautiful dark red color. And I use this to mark down what days I get my period on this yearly tracker spread. The next item is a zebra Mildliner. So the color changes every week depending on the monthly theme, but I use this to track my intermittent fasting every day, and more recently started using it to write what workouts I did each day in the weekly spreads. I started this year using Tombow dual brush pens, but I've been preferring the softer muted tones of the zebra Mildliners in recent months. The next items are my zebra Sarasa Vintage gel pens as well as my colored Uni-Ball One gel pens. I use these to write out my daily journal entries in my Hobonichi. Depending on the month, I swap to whichever color is the closest to the color of the ruling. For the month of August, for example, I'm using the Zebra Sarasa Vintage dark gray shade. I find that these colors match very closely to the Hobonichi monthly colors, and I really enjoy how smoothly these pens write. It's been fun trying to color coordinate the ink to the colored pages, and I find it so satisfying to flip through the months and see all the pages filled in with matching ink colors. In terms of long-form journaling that's typically done every other day or every few days, I use an A5 large term 1917 dotted journal for that. This also houses more of my private thoughts. The items that I use to journal with are actually my fountain pens. I usually have them inked up with a variety of shades and finishes, and this has been my main use for my fountain pens. I don't use them very much for planning at all, but I love using them for journaling. I find that the division of fountain pens for journaling and gel pens for planning has been a healthy balance for me, and still allows me to enjoy both varieties without feeling guilty for using one thing more than the other, or not using something enough. It's been a healthier and more realistic approach for me to use everything. In terms of when I make a mistake and need to correct something, depending on the size, I'll reach for either my Bic whiteout correction tape or my white Uni-Ball Signal gel pen in the broad nib. If it's just a letter that needs to be corrected, I'll use my Uni-Ball, but if it is a word or more, I'll use the correction tape. Now let's move on to the stationery that I typically reach for when I'm in the mood to decorate. Starting with this watercolor palette from Winsor and Newton, this is their 12-piece Cotman watercolor palette. I like to use this to add some watercolor paintings in my journal as well as in my planner, specifically at the bottom of my weekly spreads, since I typically don't have plans that late in the day. I also really love how portable and compact this little palette is. These are half-pan watercolors and last an incredibly long time. I keep this palette in my carrying case so that when I'm out and about, I'll have these with me at all times. It actually comes with its own little brush, but I never use it because I prefer the next item that I'm going to talk about, which is this mini Pentel water brush. I always keep these two items together since they're both so perfect to travel and paint with on the go. Ever since I discovered water brushes, I just can't go back to using normal brushes. These are so convenient with the water already being inside the brush. You won't have to bring a separate reservoir for water. It's already a part of the brush, and I just simply cannot praise these enough. And having this mini size is not only adorable, but it's just very compact and perfect for travel. The next couple of items are tools, which are the Kokio Saxa fluorine coated scissors, as well as a set of precision tweezers. So these tweezers are from journalstay.com, but I think that any tweezer will do as long as they have these long pointy prongs. They make peeling up stickers and tape so much easier compared to using your fingers or nails. And they really come in handy when you're trying to peel off or apply a very tiny sticker or piece of paper. These scissors I've had for several years and are my absolute favorite to use. They still perform exactly the way that they did when I first got them, thanks to this protective sleeve and the fluorine coated blades. The fluorine helps to reduce the buildup of sticky residue from stickers and tape, so the blades remain clean and sharp for an incredibly long time. Definitely so worth it. The scissors and tweezers play a huge role in these next few items in terms of ease of use and application. The first item being PET tape, especially the rolls that are not already pre-cut. I really love using PET tape for an effortless yet elegant way to spruce up any journal page. These rolls from the washi tape shop come with so many beautiful designs and can instantly make your journal spreads look beautiful with very minimal effort. And the final product I love using to decorate my spreads with are the MU print-on transfer stickers along with their wooden applicator. I mentioned this in my September Plan With Me video how much I love using these stickers. They blend so seamlessly onto the page, which looks so beautiful and effortless. I love all the different designs that they offer, and they're very easy to apply as well. Similar to the PET tapes, they add so much intricacy and elevate the spreads beautifully without having to put in too much effort. And those are all the products I use most often when it comes to planning, journaling, and decorating. I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know what some of your favorite stationery products are. I love chatting with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.